Georgia Governor Brian Kemp bringing up the concerns of American families as he attends the Munich Security Conference, where he's talked about the economy, trade, jobs, you name it. And Georgia Governor Brian Kemp joins me now this morning from Munich. Governor, thank you for taking time out of your busy schedule. Appreciate it, sir.
Glad to be with you. Good morning, and it's good afternoon here.
Yes, good afternoon to you. Hey, this is your second trip to Europe just this year alone. I mean, this was kind of the first big international test for the Trump administration. Just from your bilateral meetings so far, where does America stand on the world stage, and what's the global perception of us right now, you think?
Well, I would just say America is back. I think America is very strong. I think they've certainly seen that from the Trump administration. You know, obviously a little angst over some of the remarks at the conference, but I think the Europeans that I met with, the companies that are over here, I mean, everybody realizes that they have to continue to do more. They need to be more competitive in the world from a business standpoint. But they also know, I think, that the U.S. is going to continue to be a strong partner to Europe. But I think they understand, especially militarily, that it's time for them to step up. And look, a lot of the countries have done a lot over the last 2 or 3 years, but some others still need to do more, and they need to have a unified voice. And I think they received that message fairly well, even though some people were, complaining a little bit about that.
Sure. And Governor, I understand you spoke on 2 different panels focused on trade, tariffs, critical minerals, the mining of which, of course, have been forefront with Ukraine, especially right now. What's been your message to world leaders while you've been speaking there?
Well, it's kind of interesting. There's a little bit of a mixed message depending on who you're talking to and who the individual represents, or whether they're an elected leader like myself. I think the elected leaders, for the most part, know they got to figure out how to be more competitive, how to continue to be more innovative. However, they have politicians, liberal politicians in the EU, that are holding them back from doing that when you think about energy policy and other things. So my message was simply that, look, the state of Georgia is open for business. We've done that because, we have a mix of energy, including 2 new nuclear reactors. So we have low energy costs, which is exactly what the Trump administration is trying to do, is making sure that America's energy independent. We have low cost and drive down cost on energy, which will make us more competitive in the world. I've also told them, we've deregulated, we've cut taxes, and that hasn't necessarily been the case in Europe. And I think there's a lot of the business people over there that understand that's what they need to do.
Yeah.
Obviously, a lot of concern about tariffs, but I'll say this, from the actions that President Trump has taken, people have come to the table and started solving some of the problems that we have in the United States, whether it's securing our southern border or stopping fentanyl from flowing across the border. And I think you'll see more out of that from this administration.
Yeah, and speaking of Georgia and you being an elected official, I'm sure a lot of Georgians at home are wondering, what this means for them. Do you think your visit will bring back jobs and investments to your state, sir?
Well, I don't think there's any question about it. I'm so glad. It's the first time I've been to the Munich Security Conference, so I got a lot out of it. Number one, a better understanding of exactly what's going on in Europe from their politicians, and then what we need to be doing and what we can sell from the state of Georgia's perspective. But also, while I was here, I was meeting, with delegation leaders, members of political parties over here that are pro-business, pro-growth, pro-trade with the U.S., and then also meeting with some great companies that are already doing business in Georgia, and also some prospects that we met with. And so I'm very optimistic about that, because they're all looking in this environment to the U.S. to expand and to be in our markets. And Georgia right now has around 600 German companies that are doing business in the state of Georgia. So it has been a long relationship, and it's going to continue to be that way.
Yeah.
Thanks for watching, everybody. Go to joinnn.com to find NewsNation on your television provider. Also, don't forget to click that red subscribe button below to get more of NewsNation's fact-driven, unbiased coverage.